Welcome to Mic Check Waifu Waifu.
Mic check, waifu, Montel. Is that you?
And the fall has started. What's up?
This is episode 270 of Mic Check, Waifu. As always, it's brought to you by Patreon. Patreon.com/Mic Check, Waifu is where you can get early access to the video version of this podcast. This is where you can get access to the Patreon exclusive podcast, the After Stories, where you can get access to the pre-show to this episode as well. We just finished recording that like 2 seconds ago, but y'all are hearing that first before the show. It's where you can get access to Mic Check mangas and One Piece updates and all kinds of stuff over on patreon.com/Mic Check Waifu. So thank you so much for supporting us. Shout out to the Patreon producers. The Patreon producer, Christian, the archivist. I'm keeping that in. Let's do that again. Christian, the archivist. Rob from Dad Needs to Talk podcast. Fear. Glaze Hams, welcome back. Jay Lee Trey from Shogo High. Cat the Pro from Chaotic Culture and Shogo High. Explicitly. All for One Matt. Mazer, Altor, welcome back, brother. Monique Williams, Simi, Sensei. Frozen, Rob Stone, T Money Fingers. Oh, shit. And last but not least, T Money Fingers, I should have said. Thank y'all so much for rocking with us. We appreciate y'all. Make sure, if you are a listener of the podcast, you join our Discord, discord.miccheckwaifu.com to get access to the conversations that goes on over there. A lot of great topic discussions and news updates. Shout out to the people that be dropping, when new seasons gets announced and good stuff like that. So yeah, shout out to everybody that dropped that free Ren season 2 announcement. Shout out to Simi Sensei, #Simi Says, that tweeted at us, which is something you probably shouldn't do. Just contact us on Discord. It's way easier that way. But Hell's Paradise season 2 was finally announced too. So that's some good news there. Yeah. Thank you. Thank y'all all for doing that. Make sure you rate us on iTunes or wherever you listen to this podcast and subscribe to the YouTube and like the video. We appreciate that. For some reason, the YouTube views has been slowly popping off and don't know why. We don't promote it. So we are going to promote it now. So go over to youtube.com/@MicCheckWaifu, subscribe and like the videos and whatnot. Okay. Big episode for you today. So this is how the episode is going to be structured. Let me just knock this out first, and then we get into the rest of the regular show. This episode is going to be the wrap of the summer season. We're going to talk about the last few shows that finished. There's 1 or 2 shows that aren't done yet, but those are like just offs, and we're going to talk about those next week. But 1 or 2 shows, we're going to finish that off, and then we're going to go into to new shows. Sorry, there was 3 new shows plus the return of Reincarnated as Aristocrat that we're going to talk about. With that, we do spoil episode 1s, but it's just episode 1s of the new shows to kind of help you determine on if you want to watch this show or not. So listen to us and form your thoughts based off of what we say and if you will like it or not. Then after that, it's ReZero. ReZero season 2 recollection. I got some notes in my phone for that again. And then we break. And after the break, we are going to do our seasonal finale review. The summer season finale review of Makiene, Too Many Losing Heroines. Yeah, so a lot to get to. So Tell, how you feeling?
The last 2 weeks, and specifically because of ReZero, have been great.
Yeah.
Just to give you a heads up on how that's going to go later.
Yeah.
But it's been a good week. This has been the easiest week of school because I got all my homework done on a Monday. So as soon as the week started for classes, for like the final week of this month's class, I just finished all the work on Monday, like 3 assignments. It was a paper, 2 papers and a video I had to record. Got it done immediately. But tomorrow I start a whole new class. I'm excited to see how that goes. But yeah, bro, it's been a very solid, very enjoyable week for me. How about you over there, bro?
Good, man. Good gaming sessions in. I'm having fun with that. Other than that, just ReZero, bro. ReZero has been capturing my weeks. The last couple of weeks, and it's spoilers. No changes in my top 10. I'd say that much.
And as of the time that you're listening to this, it's about 9 hours until what would it be? Yeah, about 9 hours until the next ReZero episode releases.
Oh, true. So tomorrow for y'all, I guess, from the time y'all hearing this episode of the podcast, or unless you're listening early, because sometimes I put the video version out on Mondays. But I digress. Anyway, start with the anime. Tell, what was your episode of the week this week? It's a pretty easy choice, actually.
Episode 50 of ReZero.
No.
Oh, wait, I can't do that.
No.
If I guess we got finales.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with well, I guess the anime we're gonna end up reviewing, Makiene to Me Losing Heroines.
Okay. I got a lot to say about that. Anyway. Yep. Maz is reincarnated as Aristocrat, episode 1. Obviously, it was the best episode this week. I had a thug tear. One tear ran down the left side of my face. I made sure I take note of that. It was a thug tear because of what happened in this particular episode. Damn, we can't even talk spoilers on this one because this is a season 2 or a core 2 or however they're doing it. Yeah. So that is unfortunate. But listen. Great show. Reincarnated as Aristocrat. If you haven't watched it, watch it, man. It is a fantastic show. Just to get that out the way right now. All right.
I know where you shared your thug tear.
Yeah, of course you do. It's obvious. Anyway, let's start. Yeah, we can't really talk about it.
I just want to say, because I know people, if you haven't watched Reincarnated Aristocrat, was that one of my sleepers? I didn't do that as a sleeper, did I? But that was one of the best anime we've watched is out of nowhere.
Yes.
It was crazy good. But this episode, so much happened.
Yeah.
And it was like a jam-packed episode. But it was a very good continuation of what was the last thing to take place.
Yeah.
Phenomenal anime already. Bro, it's crazy.
Yeah, it even gave us a recap, a beautifully done recap, which was just perfect as far as like keeping up with what was in the show. It's amazing. It's an amazing show. All right, moving on to some shows that wrapped up this season. Let's try to get these out the way because we're good again. We're trying to avoid 2 hours, but it's probably going to be a long episode.
Probably going to be.
It's probably going to be a long episode. Okay, let's start off with one of the okay ones. Let's go with Failure Frame.
Okay.
So Failure Frame finished. Again, we're not going to spoil it, even though it's not that great of a watch. But I'm gonna say this. You know what? I'm gonna say this. This entire summer season ended as a big ass to be continued sign. Like for everything that we watched, it was a big ass this is the season of to be continued shows that we're not even sure that's going to even make it. You know what I'm saying? Like, is this show going to come back? I don't know. I can't even say for certainty that it will or won't because it wasn't that great. It wasn't received well. It didn't. The thing is a bunch of people I know who don't usually watch as much anime as we do hit me up and said, yo, I'm watching Failure Frame. What you think about that? Because they know I do the podcast. Bunch of people. So Neb and some people in my stream came through like, yeah, I don't watch as much anime, but I'm watching Failure Frame. So it was a show that was watched by people, and most of them said the same thing we said, the same thing that everybody else in the community said. It's terrible, but they need to see the get back. They need to see the revenge take place. Spoiler alert, it don't happen this season.
Not this season. So, it never happens in the first season for these kind of anime.
Yeah, I guess that's true, but I mean, it was just kind of like Okay, it was just another episode that we don't get any proper closure. We don't even get a proper closure to the journey that he was on at this point. So it's like, waste my time.
And I think that's the biggest part about this, right? Is this anime even going to make it to where we can even see the get back that we're all kind of like anticipating? Mm-hmm. Because it's not that good, bro. Mm-mm. This reminds me of Ari Fureta, and I feel like
it's Ari Fureta's better.
I don't like Ari Fureta though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess that's true.
But I'm saying that in regard to like, I wasn't sure Ari Fureta was going to get a season 2, and here we are on season 3.
Well, that show's actually decent though. That's the difference.
I understand that though, right? But initial watch
personal opinion aside,
I think we stopped at episode 7. I think you stopped at like episode 7 initially.
Yep.
And then I finished it, and I was like, okay. I mean, it was okay till you get like a bunny chick, but I wasn't expecting a season 2, but we did, and maybe this will get a season 2 because everybody is tied into that get back.
What matters is views, Tell. So
right, and that's what I'm saying. Everybody's watching because they know exactly what they want. But even if they rate it lowly, you know what I mean? But it's a lot of views. They're probably going to give it another season.
It's the same deal as Ari Fureta. Ari Fureta was watched by literally everyone. Like, I think, actually, Gov Pancakes. If Gov Pancakes, if you're listening, shout out to you.
He loved it.
He loved Ari Fureta. So it's like, there's people that watch that show that aren't as entrenched into anime as we are. So again, it's one of the ones that's popular just because it's what the people watched. Fill Your Frame is one of them. I think Jay Lee Trey said it was one of his favorite shows this season. He gave the entire season a B. So it's like, yeah, it's like, you know, it's definitely getting watched. Some people like it.
Yeah, and I kind of get it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not that's not saying that it's, because I'm not necessarily saying it's bad. I just think that objectively it's like
horrible. It's objectively it's bad.
It's like I ain't trying to shit on nobody. Nobody.
No.
But if I had to say, would I recommend this to anyone? I would probably say no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah. I can understand why people are watching it and enjoying it. I guess that's the moral of what I'm saying here.
Same. Oh shit! I accidentally kicked off the page I was on. All right, let's go to Why Does Nobody Remember Me in This World?
It was the same thing.
Yeah, this is way worse though. Way worse than Fill Your Frame because it was another to be continued ass anime. That seemed to have gotten nowhere by the end of it, and it was poorly animated. The story was poorly paced. Everything was just poorly told. So without spending too much time beating a dead horse, it was bad. It was just it was a bad show.
I think this show is a self-descriptor as to why does no one remember. Because why would you,
bro? But the potential of it, bro.
That's the crazy part. That's the crazy part.
It has some of the most potential this season that did not amount to anything whatsoever. So it fell flat, but c'est la vie. That's kind of is what it is, and it had this great idea with poor delivery. Yeah, great idea, poor delivery. That's the tagline for Why Does Nobody remember me in this world. Okay, let's go to the slice of life that was actually extremely popular from our side of the spectrum, and that's Indivisible by Twins. Now I will say this, another to be continued as anime, and I did say this in the Discord, so I'm going to say it again. This was a roundabout way of accomplishing nothing. This is actually the epitome of that. It was by far no progression made. If anything, we regressed. We regressed in this show further backwards than, I mean, I guess we kind of didn't because we got some communication for once.
Right.
But in the end, nothing happened. Nothing changed. Did I enjoy it? Yeah, I did. Even up until the last episode, I enjoyed it. It was a fun watch for me. I can't recommend it though, because it just I don't even know if this is going to ever get a season 2. I just don't.
And I think the manga is still ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
So this gives me Rent a Girlfriend vibes, where at the end we just continue to never get a conclusion.
That's the biggest disrespect you ever gave any other show in this podcast.
And I'm only saying that because Rent a Girlfriend, and I'm not saying that because like I enjoy Rent a Girlfriend.
Why? Rent a Girlfriend is terrible. It's awful. Okay, let me just say that Rent a Girlfriend is nowhere near the levels of bad of this. When it comes to
I'm not saying it's
no. When it comes to progression, because you can't put those two in the same comparison. Because in progression wise, at least this one is talked about. At least love is confessed. Spoiler alert. At least characters understand where they are in this particular situation. Rent a Girlfriend is a bunch of fucking nothing but bumbling fuck bullshit. I hate Rent a Girlfriend so much.
That's not the part I'm talking about. I'm talking about like I said, we got to the end. Yes, there was a confession, but we still got to go next season.
There was nothing
to that point.
There was nothing in Rent a Girlfriend. That's why they can't be compared. You can't compare. You can't compare an apple to a nuclear bomb. Okay. Guess what the nuclear bomb is?
I mean, you can. It's just one isn't going to hurt and one is going to not hurt either. You probably won't feel either one of them to an extent. But the point is this. How you say that?
I hate Rent a Girlfriend so much.
What is that?
I don't know. It's just I wanted to clarify the vast differences between one of the worst shows ever and.
But that's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is that it gives me that feeling. It's not the shows themselves. It's the feeling that I get that I can watch a season 2, and at the end of season 2, I feel like we're not going to get to the conclusion. I can watch season 3, and at the end of season 3, I feel like we're not going to get to a conclusion.
I disagree.
And that's how I'm feeling about it right now. But did I enjoy it? I'm on the same page as you. Hell yes, I enjoyed this show. It was very enjoyable. It was one of the most enjoyable this season, easily.
Yeah.
At least for me. I mean, I wasn't expecting to even like it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I don't think it's going to go that far. I think it's going to go to a season 2 and complete. I really do. I don't see it dragging off too long because it can't. It can't with everything that's known now. They can't go any further as far as not making a decision. Put it that way. Spoiler alert. Damn. Anyway, all right. Ossan Newbie Adventure completed. Was that? Did we talk about that last week or is it this week?
It completed this week.
Okay, yeah, this show was fucking fantastic. Ossan Newbie Adventure was great. Finally, to talk about something like more overly consistent. Again, it's to be continued, obviously, because the main objective here wasn't completed, but it was a better ending that amounted to something more of progress than the rest of most of the shows. Yeah, most of the shows this season has. So, while Ossan isn't done, obviously, there's more to it, and there's no season 2 announcement yet. But there is more of a finite story with this one where they have accomplished a goal or a part of a goal that can lead into a bigger goal that's going to be fun to see in the future.
So I know we talked about I Parry Everything last week, but I think both of those shows were far more enjoyable than expected. Yeah. And Ossan Newbie Adventure, while I think this final episode was like a good wrap and everything like that, it had that emotional context. It had all that stuff, right? You know, and that's really interesting for what it was. It had a lot of stuff wrapped up into what it is, and that's crazy. And you know what carried this show a lot for me? What? Because it wasn't the action, it was the characters, bro.
Yes.
Like, it didn't need crazy animation. It was cool that it had the little powers that it had, because it doesn't have like a power system. You know what I mean? It's not one of them shows where it does. But it's not the elaborate breakdown.
Yeah. True.
But it's the characters, bro.
100%. They carry. They definitely carry.
Broston, bro. Amazing. I love him, and his whole story arc, his whole little man. Come on,
it was wonderful.
Yeah, it was a extremely enjoyable show for what seemed like it was supposed to be like a trash throwaway show almost.
Yeah. I thought it was gonna be worse than definitely what it was. I'm glad I watched it after your first episode analysis at the beginning of the summer season. I'm glad I picked it up because it's definitely one of the fun ones I watched this season. To go to one I don't think you finished, but I did, No Longer Allowed in Another World. This one was actually turned out to be more enjoyable than I thought. It again, another to be continued show. The show is definitely not done, but I mean, it got to where the initial goal that was sought after, it happened. And then when it happened, something else happened. And it's like, oh shit. So it's like, fuck. Okay, how is this going to play out now? So I'm looking forward to seeing that continue if it gets another season. This is another one which rated 71%.
Yeah.
So it's rated decently. The studio is Altair Pondark, which again, we talked about this at the beginning of the season, but they did Uncle from Another World and Gambare, some shorts, basically.
This is the most interesting of the shows that they've done in my opinion so far.
Yeah, 100%. It was very pretty too. I like the art style of it. Funny enough, yeah, it was a good one. I definitely enjoyed this one a lot, and this is another one I think the characters carry for sure. And then its uniqueness. The uniqueness of it all is very, very special to me, with the story of being isekai, the story of being a story getting story back to that's gonna be spoilers, but you know what I mean. It's a great, it's a pretty good show, and I'm glad it ended the way it did, because it's another good ending to it to where if it doesn't get more, I will be upset, but I wouldn't be devastated like I am with another one. Did I already? Yeah, like Indivisible Twins. I was kind of devastated at the end of the fact that we didn't get anywhere, essentially. So it's not like that. It's more so definitely accomplished more than alluded to. Speaking of elusiveness, let's go to the Elusive Samurai. This is one of my favorites this season. This is a gem.
Really?
An absolute gem. Not to say that it ended well, because I truly, again, to be continued that show that.
Yeah, of course.
But I still found it fun, man. I still found it a fun watch. I love the characters, except for I love them all.
And it's not. I'm not saying really. I'm not saying like it wasn't an obviously good show. I think it's crazy that and a lot of the shows that I feel like we really enjoy is because of these characters, right? It's seeing how these characters have grown and how we even expect them to grow in the future. Yeah. It's like this show has such a good delivery in so many different ways, and they do a good job of shifting that focal point. So I agree, bro. It was definitely a gem, and I was expecting a way more shonen-esque vibe, but it gave me a mix of shonen and what does it call it? What's the adult version? A little bit more adult, grotesque. Yeah, it was a little bit in that mix because they did not shy away from blood, bro. They did not shy away from death. Bodies being piled up. It was crazy. So I enjoyed it. Very creatively artistic too. Like it was a brilliant show to look at, like a beautiful show to look at. And to go to another show out to look at, Your Sleeper, probably one of the best of the season, probably like second to Makeine, Too Many Losers and Heroines, but it's Wistoria. This had the best ending episode this summer season, period. Like the best ending episode was truly, it was way better than Makiene. It was like it just was the best ending of a show. While it was, again, to be continued, but the way it was to be continued, it left questions to things that we want to see, and the wrap up of characterizations of different characters and groups and shit. That was just done beautifully, damn near perfect, a flawless ending of a season episode. Now this show gives me, right? This show gives me the equivalent of, and I'm not going to spend too much time on it because last time I had a section on this that I cut out of an episode because it was a little too heavy. But I'm gonna say it now. This proves the fact that you cannot say a shonen can't be anything but a shonen, or can't lack diversity. I think the term is, don't be mad at a shonen for being a shonen. I'm gonna be mad at other shonen for being basic and simple and not and have no diversity or no complexity whatsoever. And I'm gonna always be mad at that. This one is the epitome of looking at a shonen as different, unique, special, fucking strong characters, beautiful storytelling, great pacing,
Wonderful animation. And let me just go to the show, and by a studio that is Akis. They don't do much. They don't have much at all. They have Classroom of Heroes. Like this studio is not prominently known, but this right here, Wistoria, definitely brought them up in my eyes. I mean, yeah, they don't have shit as far as shows that are like prominent and under their belt. But this was so beautifully directed. I mean, everything about this shonen was perfect. Well, not perfect. Okay, I'm not gonna say perfect, but it was just the epitome of unique and special and diverse and just everything that you would want in a shonen that we don't get nowadays. Instead of getting the same old bullshit, this is not that. So that excuse don't work for every shonen. So I just want to say that this show has a special place in my heart because of the fact that it proves that it isn't all about what the typical shonen is, right? It's very, very special in that regard. And I love the way it ended. It's great.
Yeah, bro. Polow took all the words.
Sorry.
He took all the words, bro. Yeah, that's it. It introduced some things that we didn't even have questions about, but introduced it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good job, Polow. That's what those, bro. It was great.
It's absolutely a brilliant show. So, yeah. And then I think that's it.
That was crazy. I'm more impressed by what you said.
I was sorry. I was feeling it. It was in the moment. All right. And the other one that's ending, obviously, Too Many Losing Heroines. That's going to in the second half of the show. That's going to be reviewed. So that's going to get a full deep dive on that. So if you're expecting to hear that now, you won't. It'll be in the second half of the show. So keep that in mind after the music break. All right. So Atri has one more episode, but I do want to say this: very good show. This show, at first, it was kind of waning a little bit to like towards the middle to the beginning middle. Yep. And then in the later, like a little bit past the middle, it kind of took off for me personally. And it's like, now I'm interested to see where the fuck this goes. It's a great show.
The middle is where you got me re-interested because they did have that kind of shift.
Turning point.
Yeah, where we got that information. And turning points, that is a thing of the podcast.
Yeah.
They do make a difference. So yeah, bro. Maybe we'll talk about this one next week.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. Now, to go on to the new shows that dropped, there were 3. 2 of them that I watched, and then there was a returning show. So, before we get into the new shows, though, the shows that we were reviewing this fall season, I have a suggestion. You hear me out. I think we should do a sleeper, and I think we should do your sleeper.
Oh, goodness.
For the review.
Demon Lord 2099?
2099. What you think? You okay with that? If not, let me know if you got something else.
Let's do it. I'm okay with that.
Okay, because we kept forgetting in the previous weeks, we kept forgetting to pick a show to review at the end of the season, as we do. So we do one mid-season review. So around episode 6 of shows, we pick a show recommended to us by you guys that you haven't seen yet, or you may have seen and you just want to hear us review it. And then we pick one from this current season that we review at the end of it. So there's 2 seasons, 2 reviews per anime season. So now that that's out of the way, let's start with.
I hope it's good, bro.
Me too. Because the shows we chose to review have been spectacular. The first one was Windbreaker. The second one was Makeine, Too Many Losing Heroines. And now we got fucking Demon Lord 2099. So hopefully it's good, but we shall see. Anyway, one of the new shows that we watched is Loner Life in Another World.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just start, This is a Polow and Tell Last Anime.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to spoil episode 1, but this is just to let you know if you're going to watch it. It's not really much to it. Like in episode 1, it's like, come on, like who really cares about spoilers in episode 1, right? So to start this one off, man, this was it started off very unique with the loner in the classroom. You know, the usual isekai story. Loner is in the classroom reading his manga. He breaks down the groups of the class. He's like, yo, you know, we got the jocks here, we got the gals here, we got the nerds there, we got the student council group there. And all of a sudden, as he's like discussing that, he gets this teleportation circle. The key thing about this character is that he wants to be alone. He doesn't want to be involved with anybody.
You know, none of this.
He's not sad about being alone. It's just exactly what he wants. And that's what I find I like about it. Because usually we get these sad loners that are like, oh, nobody wants to be my friend, or something happened, or he was always bullied or some shit like that. No, he's like, fuck it, this is exactly how I want it to be. He's chilling, reading his manga. Then the summoning circle happens in the entire classroom. He notices it. Now, the funny part about this is he tries his damnedest. He's like, yeah, I'm getting summoning. But wait, this one might be too much of a drag. And he tries his best to escape the summoning circle and get the fuck out of there. So his class gets summoned and not him. So he tries to leave the classroom. The classroom's locked until he finally goes up into a fucking vent. Man. Where the class gets summoned. And he's like, I escaped the summoning. Lo and behold,
you'll get caught.
Lo and behold, there was a late summoning circle. And this shit is just hilarious. It was just super funny. While it wasn't anything to write home about, again, continuing on, it is a Polow and Tell Last show that we would definitely watch. But I think that part was pretty hilarious, don't you think? I found myself laughing. It's
yeah. So for me, it is the constant explanation of what's happening.
Yeah, it's good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And his inner monologue of trying to get away from everything, and then even when he does get transported to another world, the discussion that he's having with like, oh, there's this old man, and it's like, come on, bro. I'm like, yo, you got the crap end of the stick, but not really. But yeah, you definitely got the crap end of the stick, but not really. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what's unique about this is that when after his classmates get summoned, God sends him down to the world. Okay. God is then there and notices that there's one student that pops in late, and it's our guy who wants to be a loner. He pops in late and he looks at the guy and says like, look, what are you doing here? Like, oh, I didn't know you were coming, blah, blah, blah. But he says it in his own voice. It was hilarious the way it was done. So you guys gotta watch it to see that part. It's very laugh out loud funny in that part.
Apparently the guy had never summoned as many as 43 people before.
Yeah.
So he didn't have enough like skills and unique stuff ready for everybody.
Yep. So in this particular case, since he was the last person to arrive, he gets the shit end of the stick, quote unquote, as Tel was saying. And he gets to pick between all of the leftover skills that all of the other students took, which I think is a super unique take, by the way.
They're all mediocre too, right?
Very mediocre.
The remaining skills are like mediocre, mad decent. Because like Villager was like, you're looking at it, and that's the thing that I love about these kind of shows.
Yeah.
Surface level, they seem bad. Because what was the other show we watched that was like this? Like surface level, they're bad skills. You know what I mean? Like if you had this, you'd be like, okay, I can go camping.
Yeah. So think about this too, because of the way he interacts with his God. And honestly, I don't blame him. I'm like, he's naming off all these kids like, yo, these all fucking suck. What were you thinking? He like complaining to the guy, like what? He was just complaining and yelling in the guy's face. And the guy's like, you know what? Fuck it. Just take it all. And just gave him all of the remaining skills that was left over. And as Tel said, it's very important to understand that by themselves, these skills are mad decent.
Did you pause it to like watch him roast these skills?
Yes, I did.
He was like, "Is that a staff? I'm just gonna hit things with a stick." Like, I don't know who wants that skill. Yeah. And it's like crazy, bro.
He was talking so fast that I had to pause it to see it, but when I did, it was hilarious. It was funny. But yeah, like each individual skills are terrible. Now he got them all, and because of his knowledge of isekai worlds that he's read and
in his books,
he found ways to make them unique. And I think the most important skill that he got that I think that most people won't realize is the dice. The dice, the fact that he rolled both of them, he got 2 M's, crazy, by the way. We learned that he at first thought M's meant like masochism or some bullshit, but M was actually max. It maxed the stat entirely, and he put both of them in the luck. What an idiot. But
really though?
Yes, because you can max out luck once. You can't double max it out according to this. So he could have maxed out this in strength or something like that, and he would have been goated. But he maxed out luck, and I think that is the prominent ideal situation in this particular situation. Because if maxing out luck, I think was so important that is going to make everything else that he has in his arsenal now just that much better.
Right.
And that's what I'm looking forward to seeing how that's going to play out.
And I love how he thinks, isn't appraisal skill supposed to be good? Well, this seems pretty trash. Like, it leveled up. He's like, this seems worse. Like, it leveled up and he thinks it's worse now. But it's only because this is the beginning stages. I actually think this might be one of the most, like, oddly enjoyable shows of the season. Yeah. I can see it now just being a great conversation piece for the podcast, bro. This is going to be a hilarious one that we're probably always going to talk about.
Just a silly one. I think... I don't think that. I think, well, okay, hear me out. Because I think it's going to be like the other show. Because I think you were mentioning the one that we watched, I think it was a couple of seasons ago, where they were summoned on the bus and the guy had the power to kill everything by saying die or something like that.
It wasn't that one. It was in that same season though.
Okay.
It was the guy who had like, he had, God, he was reincarnated in the world and he was able to like, what did he do? He had, I can't think about it exactly. He went to the village and saved the people in the village and they loved him. And he like taught them how to do stuff, but I can't remember exactly what it was, but it reminded me of that one because it was like, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I got to go back a couple seasons and look at it, but it was in that same season actually, which is great.
But regardless of that, the point kind of remained the same. Both of those aren't really rememberable per se.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like they end up maybe getting talked about once or twice on a pod, but we still watch it all. You know what I'm saying? That's where I feel it's going to be.
Yeah.
But we'll see. It could be the opposite. What I do feel like it is going to be the opposite of that though is let this grieving soul retire.
Hear me out.
I think this one's going to be talked about a lot.
I actually think this one was great.
Yeah, me too.
And I actually think it's going to be a continued great for a different reason. You know what I mean?
Okay, so hear me out.
Ahead.
I've watched the video. I forget which YouTube video it is, and I'm sorry. I feel terrible for not saying it. But they were like going over the anime season and stuff, and they were like, these are some shows to look out for. And there was he mentioned this one. And guess what he compared it to? And maybe you won't know because you didn't watch Reincarnated, but he said it's basically, what's his name? What is his name? I need to find it. The character from Reincarnated is a slime who's a hero. What's his name? I gotta find it. They call him the Flash Hero or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Yeah.
I didn't finish this season yet.
Yeah. Those who watch it know who I'm talking about. I believe his name is Yuki. No, Yuki is the guild guy. Basically, it's a hero. It's somebody that got summoned to the world of Reincarnated as a slime as well, and he become a part of Rimuru talks to him, and he basically has a unique ability. The unique ability is basically him essentially having 100% luck. Everything he says, people take as the right thing to do. Like everybody's drawn to this guy. Okay. Everybody loves him, but he has no combat skills whatsoever. He's never killed anything in the world of Reincarnated Islam. Not once. He didn't do shit basically, but he has the title of hero. Everybody's scared of him. He has this party of people that are super strong now, and he's just this hero class character who didn't do any heroing. Everything kind of fell into his lap. So this is essentially this as an anime. It's like he got his own anime basically. That character from Reincarnated Slime got his own anime basically. Obviously, it's not the same, but essentially, if you would have watched ReZero, if y'all did watch ReZero, you will understand exactly what I'm saying. But he's basically that. He doesn't have any combat experience, but everything that he says, people love.
And I can see that entirely because he did say he's never been in a proper fight. Mm-hmm. But so in the context of what we get, right, his guild or his crewmates, his party mates that he loves and cherishes so much,
childhood
they're
friends.
all some of the most OP characters in the world, apparently, right?
Yep.
But what leads me to believe that he is their like trust and faith in him, right? And it's the fact that he's never been in an actual battle, so they're like viewing him as like, and obviously I have no context to really go off of this other than contextual from the show, but they're viewing him as the leader and all these different things. They have this undying trust in him. And that leads me to believe that maybe he's just not, he's stronger than he knows. Or like you said, he's got that luck that's just ridiculous and he's able to pull off, because they call him what, of 1,000 tricks or the it's something with tricks, right? He's the master of tricks or something like that. So
what I love about, there's two things that I loved about this particular episode. One was the sound design.
Yeah.
And then the way the abilities or moves worked, right? The way Tino moved when she fought the guy with the sword, the redhead kid with the sword. Like those, when they fought each other, that shit was so fucking fire though. Just the way it sounded, which lead me to believe that this will have some moments in it that are like spectacularly flashy and just full of like a bunch of like flashy scenes that are just unbelievably animated and sound design wise top tier that I'm looking forward to. But essentially, it's about a guy who was a part of that party that Tel mentioned. And he's just trying to chill. He don't want to do this.
He's trying to avoid getting into combat.
He's trying to avoid everything, the work, everything about it. He doesn't want to be a part of it. So he's trying to scamper his way through by not doing no work. But he just so happens to be the master of the strongest guild, the strongest treasure hunter group in this world. And it's going to lead to some silly moments. I love the way it starts. It starts off extremely slow and it doesn't really get anywhere story wise, right? Like we don't know anything, but a lot did happen. Like it took place in basically like 2 or 3 scenes, but it was massive implications as to what he's trying to do. And I'm looking forward to meeting the rest of the crew for sure.
And I do think that this is going to have a huge underarching story, actually. And I only say that because of the way that they demonstrated the guild or his crewmates, party mates being almost like seem like they're separated.
Yeah. So
they all are going to have their own like little meetings that he might end up doing, which I have no idea. That's just me looking at how they demonstrated stuff in the show.
Right. So like, we don't even know how the treasure hunts work. We don't know how the dungeons, we don't know anything about this world whatsoever. So to talk about it is kind of hard to do, but I'll tell you this. I think the cast of characters so far is fun. I think the sound design is fun. I think the fighting, the little bit of fighting they did have in this episode, hilariously great. I think it's going to be good.
It looks enjoyable. Characters actually seem enjoyable.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be, I think it's going to be one that's going to be talked about in our Discord a lot as well. Like I think it's going to have a lot of conversational pieces in the Discord. To go to the Discord, right? No. Let's go to Uzumaki. Tell, if you won't mind doing the honors.
So
I didn't watch this one, by the way.
Nah, this is wild. First of all, it's beautiful. It's all black and white, bro. But the animation is smooth. There's so much care in the art style of it. The sound design. There's a lot of care in this anime in general. You can see that that the artist is what's his name, Junji Ito. Mm-hmm. But the character of this show that is put into how it's actually done is immaculate. I actually think that it was ridiculous, and Monique and I, my wife and I, were laughing at this, like laughing. But if this was like real life, this would have been horrible. And even like thinking about like what happened in this episode where and I'm not sure how many people have seen or read Uzumaki, but basically this is a horror context where this psychological, you can say a psychological virus, but basically the city starts to get taken over by the idea of this spiral. And essentially what it does is this spiral is infecting people differently. Where the first person you see infected is the MC's, or the first guy we meet it's his dad. And his dad falls in love with this spiral, ends up spiralizing himself and turning him into a spiral and breaking all his bones and killing himself. Girl has, and this is probably the most prominent thing you'll see, is the girl with the spiral in her head. I don't want to spoil it because it's like one of those things where you kind of just got to watch the ridiculousness with it. And there's not a lot of episodes. So
it's only going to be 4, yeah.
Yeah, it's only going to be 4 episodes. So if I spoil it, it's going to seem like I told you a quarter of the story already.
Yeah.
So I think that it's one of those things you have to watch, but it is like, I can't believe this is on Adult Swim. I feel like if I was in high school, like a freshman in high school, and this came out, I'd be like, this is wild.
If Adult Swim had Moro Oro, then it's okay for them to have Uzumaki.
Yeah, but
Moro Oro had dealt with a bunch of just grape for the YouTube algorithms and abortion and you know, like it was rough.
I get that. I'm talking about this. I could see people having Cartoon Network on at night and then waking up at like 12 p.m.
Oh,
and
it's that grotesque.
And having nightmares.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I mean. Like,
yeah, okay.
if I was seeing Adult Swim in like 5th grade and it was like wake up at 12 p.m. and Dragon Ball on. I can't imagine waking up at 12 p.m. and seeing Uzumaki on a black and white show, being tuned in and then not being able to sleep for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be fine right now, but I can't. This is actually a little. It's not scary. I need to say that it's more like, what the fuck?
Grotesque.
WTF, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's just different.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, 2 things I wanted to mention before we slide into Reincarnated or Aristocrat. Again, we're not going to spoil that, but we have to mention that in kind of a little bit more detail, I think. I did want to get to Rob Stone's comment this week on YouTube, but because we have so much, I don't think we can. But he did comment it, and I wanted to read his pseudo harem conclusion because we didn't read it. A lot of people may have wanted to watch it or didn't watch it because of our mentioning of it, but I do think reading his pseudo harem, his comment is very long. He gave us what he thought on everything this season. And it was a spectacular comment. Like he does, this comment is so great. But basically, I'm gonna just say this: his overall grade he gave for the season was an A. But I'm gonna read pseudo harems because me and you didn't finish it because of the way it ended. But I want everybody who may have watched it or may have thought about watching it. I want to throw this in here if you don't mind, Till.
Let's go.
So let's go to pseudo harem. He says, pseudo harem, I've heard it described as a relationship diabetes because it's so darn sweet and it's like consuming romance junk food. I know it wasn't for you guys with the skipping between scenes, but it covered a relationship over 3 years in just one core. All the major beats are hit as the relationships develop. As the relationship's development, it's definitely not the best romance out there, and our main characters are too ridiculous to be taken seriously. But it was probably the first thing I put on after work each week just for a pick me up. The time jump at the very end was a black mark and it made no sense, but overall it was worthy part of the summer romance collection. So I just wanted to make sure we put that in there because we did not watch it. After that comment, I told him this comment is so fun. Like this whole comment is so good because he went through his Dahlia and Bloom expressions. I Parry Everything, Alia, Spice and Wolf, Wistoria, Makeine, Why Does Nobody Remember Me, Stepsister, and he said he's falling behind on My Hero. He's basically in the same position we are with that, where he's like, whatever. but like, it was such a great comment that I just wanted to bring that up. And I'm sorry I couldn't go through the whole thing because this episode is just we already have 47 minutes and we didn't even start on a ReZero conversation. So I just wanted to say thank you for that comment, Rob Stone. Please comment next week again, because I just love seeing them. And hopefully you like the shows we just talked about. Now, Reincarnated is Aristocrat. Again, we mentioned it earlier. It was my episode of the week. Thug tear was shed because it was absolutely a beautiful, beautiful return to form for this show. I mean, everything from what the political intrigue is to the characterizations of our characters and the future implications of what's going to happen. Perfect. Everything was paced perfect. It was just wonderful. I don't even know how it was a 10 out of 10 episode on our review scale. 100%.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. And part of the reason I didn't give episode of the week is because I wasn't thinking of this one specifically for that.
It came out this week.
I know, right? I know, but I'm thinking like you right. I agree. But the the recollection we get of the characters coming back, and even just the table talk, you know what I mean? The council, that was my favorite part. That was my favorite part, personally, just because it was like they was breaking it down, bro. It was a
continuation of what we got in the previous season, but this time, as obviously you've seen Space Jam. It was the all-star team in Space Jam coming together. That's exactly what it was. And to just see how it played out was so satisfying. It made me so happy.
Yeah.
I just love the characters, even the minute characters like Lord Koron, or is his name? I think his name is. I just love. He's great. He's fucking great, and he's a genius. So yeah,
I love the confidence that we're getting built as well. You know what I mean? Because it's deserved at this point. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So to get that as a build up, and it's not complete confidence yet.
Yeah.
But that's also reasonable. You know what I mean? The show is crazy reasonable. You know what I mean?
It's a growing confidence.
Exactly.
And I think that's important.
That's what makes it so, like I said, it's reasonable. And that's what makes it so, like, investment worthy.
Watch Reincarnated as Aristocrat. Please, please. We beg of you. You won't be disappointed. All right. Now, ReZero Season 2 Recount is what I'm going to call this one. Let me just say this. I'm going to go back to my notes here. My phone is actually not dying this time, so that's good.
Damn iPhones.
And this one this is a 12, so you know it's really dying. So this last legs. All right, Season 2. So it starts off at the beginning. It starts off, right? Let me just back up. There was an episode before this one that was about an hour long. And this is very important that I mention this. It was about an hour long till I don't know if you watched it. It's the Long Winter or something. No, Winter Bond or something like that. It was Amelia's episode. So I put it in the Discord. I'm like, yo, make sure y'all watch this episode before you start season 2. So I watched that episode. And I will say this. That one was probably the worst episode of ReZero ever. Ever, in my opinion. Because it seemed rushed. It seemed thrown together. It seemed like it didn't quite fit initially with what the story is. But however, it did give us some context at the very end of it that was enough for me to understand Amelia's character a little bit more. While the first, I would say 75% of it was nonsense. I think personally, the latter half of it was enough to culminate it and to make it a part of season 2 really well. So I'm gonna just get that out the way. It wasn't to me, in my opinion, it wasn't a good episode.
I did not count that as part of season 2. I mean, I counted it as like a separate. Yeah, you know what I mean. And
I guess I should too. It's separate. It's definitely separate because you don't have to watch it, and maybe you shouldn't. But it's for the hardcore ReZero fans as we are. I think.
Yeah. What was it? Hour and 14 minutes or so. But and the thing is that Amelia is one of those characters who, for a majority of the show, is contextually like there's just not a lot there. And I'm not saying like,
and that's what they try to do with this. Yeah, you're right.
So for this specific one to give you that context and to give you that, because we're going into season 2 where she does become a lot more contextually relevant. Yes. You know what I mean? So it's worth the watch in that regard.
Yeah.
Like Polow said, it's yeah, bro.
It's not a great episode though. It felt poorly paced. It was just everything about it felt off from what ReZero is. And if you know what ReZero is, you know how they do shit. And it just didn't feel like a part of it. It just felt like they were trying to fill some gaps. And it did. It sort of did, because we learned a little bit more about Puck and kind of where she came from, but I still think it was unnecessary. Because I think what happens in season 2 within her story is a way more clear story of what happened for her. But I digress. All right. So season 2 starts off in after, we get back to the town from killing the White Whale and dealing with the occultists. Yep. When we get there, it basically replays what was like the latter half of 5 minutes of episode, what was it? 13 of the director's cut of season 1, where Amelia says, "Who is Rem?" And that's when our guy Subaru has a fucking panic attack, basically, like, oh shit. And they get to the town, and he's looking for her because everybody's back and they're injured because they were attacked by God knows what at this particular point. Basically, they were attacked by greed and was it greed and envy?
Greed and gluttony.
Greed and gluttony. And gluttony was the one who essentially attacked Rem, which ate both her memories and her name, which means that she's an empty husk right now. But before we get to that, when he sees Rem down on the ground, he attempts to go back to the save point. He's like, fuck this. I don't care how far I go back. I need to do this. He kills himself with a sword in his neck. That's one death. Okay. To put it into perspective, there's a total of 6 deaths in the entire season.
Which is crazy.
It's only 6.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's really, really good. But I digress. So, what did I put here? Okay, no, that's way later. But yeah, that happened. We figured out that the save point is on the wagon when he's dealing with Amelia, so he knows he can't go back to save Rem specifically. Right. And we continue the story. Tell, what did you overall think about season 2 as a total completion narrative? Before we get deeper into our favorite parts, what we didn't like, what we loved, all that good stuff.
If I had to say like the thesis of this or the focal point of this season, the main contributing thing I guess I could say about this season is that it's more about, and this is what I was thinking when I was watching this. I know you haven't seen Steven Universe, but the Witch of Greed is Pink Diamond from Steven Universe, which basically all that means is that she's a character who left a bunch of people behind, and they have to come to these realizations of like how they need to grow or proceed through the future. And this season just captures that idea extremely well, with Subaru being like the binding factor between all of that.
There were so many there's so many like main points, right? There's a point here.
It's crazy.
Like what I mean by main points, turning points essentially, right? Turning point here, turning point here, turning point here that are just so spaced out, right? This felt like I've watched 67 episodes of a show and it was only 25. That's how many like points of context and story and for me, my essential thought process is character growth between 3 characters, essentially. Character growth, and I'm not counting. Okay, I'm gonna count. Make it 4. No, because he's not prominent. He's not prominent enough. So no, make it 3. Character growth between 3 characters that is so hugely vast that it cannot be overlooked. 1, Subaru. There was a conversation that he had from when Echidna, which by the way, the voice actress, the English dub voice actress from Echidna, I want her to talk to me all the time. Just call my phone and just talk to me because I love her voice. It was so good. It turned me on. Okay. Bro, Echidna was, I'm like, yo, her voice is amazing, by the way. Actually, who voiced Echidna? I need to know that. Who was the dub voice? I don't know how to spell her name for Echidna. Re:Zero season 2. I need to know.
Bro said, talk to me.
Just talk. Just cuss. Do whatever you want to do. I was in love. Who was her dub voice actor?
I got you.
While you look that up, let me know.
The dub voice actor for Echidna is Iris.
Oh, okay. She at one point I think she was what's her name? The cat from Bleach. She replaced the white lady and the people complained, and then she got replaced again by her. But she's wonderful. She's absolutely wonderful.
Oh yeah, okay.
I fucking loved Anaris is her name. Yeah, yep, here she is. Yep. She was incredible. Absolutely encourage. Just talk to me. You can say anything. It don't matter. Just call my phone. Talk to me in the Kidna voice. I'll be happy.
She's in a regular at Magical High School. What their priority? Pokemon.
I watch none of those dubs, but
she's Miracle in My Hero Academia.
Okay. I didn't watch any of those dubs, so I wouldn't know. This is the first dub I watched with her in it, and it blew me back. I'm like, God damn, she's so good. Shout out to shout out to Zeno. Zeno was Garfield. He did a fucking phenomenal job, by the way. Wonderful job. But basically it was, sorry, to get back on track. Echidna summoned when Subaru did his test, right? Mm-hmm. It was the lessons that he learned from his past that was the major growth in his turning point. The lessons he learned from talking to his parents, everything that he dealt with in his real world life when he became a shut-in, all of that, and getting past that point was his turning point. That's characterization number one that I absolutely found huge, massive for Subaru specifically. Then you got Amelia. Amelia taking a test and dealing with her past, remembering her past, letting Puck leaving her to help her get her memories back. When she get her memories back, learning about Betelgeuse, which we thought that he was redeemable. I still wasn't enough for me to be redeemed. Because when we first watched this, I remember us talking about on the podcast, like it almost made us like Betelgeuse, but I still fucking hate his guts. I still absolutely hate his guts. And it's sad what happened, but it was also his fault for that it happened. But I digress.
It's redeemable. I think we would only say he was redeemable because we found out that it wasn't controllable technically for him because he had the qualifications but didn't have the understanding, I guess is what they said it. 100%. But I agree with you. I still hate him.
Yeah. Because at first we were kind of on the fence because it was so long since we watched season 1 and then we was watching season 2, but I digress. So Amelia's passed, right? And you got her dealing with her mother. We learned, and this is so fucking, this was a little tidbit of a seed that was dropped in, and I'm gonna skip to the end just a little bit here, but it was when she mentioned to Subaru, there's something that we need to talk about. And it was the fact that I think what she's going to mention was a little bead of fucking hint that dropped when we were going through her story. It's the fact that she's the daughter of a witch. She may be the daughter of Stella. So I think that was, it was like tastefully just dropped in. But you know, she had her the elf mother that actually took care of her. I forget her name, but she took care of her for most of her life, and everything that she just went through in her past and passing that selection or that qualification, and then the conversation between her and Echidna within that, and how Echidna just began to like hate her more and more and more as she just grew into herself because she felt like she's gonna take Subaru from me. That's what that's what I got from that. She's gonna take Subaru from me, and it pisses me off. And so that's what I felt from that, and I thought that was so adorable. I just love Echidna, mostly because of her voice, but other than that, it was just great. It was just great. And then the third turning point, which you know what, I'm gonna call it for, and this is why I'm gonna call it for, because I do think we should separate these. I think it was the fuck is his name? Roswell. So Roswell's to learn the fact that Roswell was the man who already knew about Return by Death, who planned almost every Return by Death situation that Subaru was put in. He planned that shit. Okay, he set it up. Come to find out. So each time that, you know what, this ain't working, let me throw this at him. I'm gonna throw this at you, and I'm gonna throw this at you, in order for him to build up Subaru to become something. But then we learned that like his past was holding him back from becoming the Roswell he is right now at this particular point. And that story of his that they told of his was fucking fantastic. It was great, well done. But last but certainly not least, and I was gonna mention this before I mentioned Roswell, but I had to mention Roswell, was Beatrice.
Oh, brother.
Beatrice's story is, I cried again. Mad tears. It was a Clannad cry. It was fucking tears. It was the same for Rim. Like it was that Rim cry for Beatrice. Uh-huh. And I'm like, I didn't even think I was going to feel that for Beatrice. But again, it was the fucking English dub voice acting that was so spectacular. And the emotion that both Subaru's voice actor and Beatrice's voice actress put into it had me so congested, full of fucking tears that I'm like, fuck, that killed me.
A lot of it, bro, is the fucking. So it's the context of the story though, as well.
Yes,
because
massively
400 years, and it's not just the contract she was in. It's the fact that she has to make a choice here. You know what I mean? Yep. She has to make a choice herself, and nobody can force her to do anything. It has to be a choice, and that's what I 100% loved about it. But that's what also another thing. I feel like this whole season is about choices, and it's, if you think about, and this is another one of those things that was like my favorite part. It was like 2 episodes or 3 episodes where it was that third tea party where Echidna's trying to offer Subaru the contract, and this is where she started to hate Amelia immediately after. But it turns out that all of the witches were trying to help him. You know what I mean?
Because it's something about him.
It's something about him, but they were all trying to help him, all trying to show him that he just needs to love himself. He can't just keep helping everybody else without loving himself. Yeah. And it's, like you said, a turning point, because after that, he did not die again.
Yeah.
That was the last time he died. It was the last time he decided that it was when he decided that he was going to try and make things happen without his personal death, where he thought things through more thoroughly than he ever had before. Yeah. Without
relying on return by death as a crutch.
Right.
To help him save others and instead of himself.
Right. And it just, that to me, it was such a developmental part, because that's what his parents were trying to tell him in his head. Yep. And he didn't see it until the witches were like, bro, love yourself, man. And it seemed, and I'm just like, at some point, all these witches want to have a contract with, because it's like they all trying to give him. I'm not saying, go ahead.
They all gave, and real quick, sorry, I'm keeping this in. I'm not going to edit this out, but I'm going to just tell you now. So turn your mic over towards you. You're facing the sidelines.
Yeah, my bad. It's like this.
Yeah, there you go. But so all of the witches it's something about Subaru that draws him to them, right? But I think all of them, and this is just conspiracy theory, Polow talking, but I think all of them gave him a blessing. Mm-hmm. Like we saw the witch of Sloth, her fist come out of Subaru when he was fighting Garfield. Like that same fist that was inside of Betelgeuse that he couldn't control is now inside of Subaru. So it's like they all gave him a piece of something by the points that you said, which that particular moment where, 2 of them tried to stop the other witch from reviving him after he killed himself inside of the mine. Like when he killed himself there, by the way, he just died. Like that was it, because his mind would be turned into a empty husk like Rem's was. But then it was like everybody just trying to do their best to help him better himself in different ways, which again, you hit the nail right on the head with spectacular. Now, to go back to the deaths, though, if you don't mind.
Let's do it.
I wrote in my notes here, the second one was particularly gruesome. From his perspective, he was getting tossed around and Beatrice not letting him die. That one was rough, because it was when the vampire chick, I forget her name. Yep. It was when she was just fucking beat his ass when he lost Petra. He was holding her empty arm, and he went into Beatrice's lab, and he was just basically getting tossed around. But what they did was they put it in first person, and I think that was particularly gruesome, because when it was in first person, you see him gets knocked out of the castle. He's blinking, he's trying to come, he concussed or whatever happens. He looks down, he has Petra's arm in his hand. It's like, it was so gruesome that it was like worse than anything that he's had done to him yet, outside of like the bunnies.
And they constantly do that. And I feel like they do that with specific scenes, that first person view. Yeah. To emphasize it. But it's Elsa Grandhart. Yeah. Elsa. And if I'm not mistaken, she became a vampire at this point. Like right before this point, in between this at some point. Yeah. Because she wasn't a vampire when she fought the night guy. No, she was always a vampire. Was she?
Yeah, that's how she was able to survive Reinhardt, which Reinhardt is a fucking god in this world, by the way. That's why she did. That's why she survived Reinhardt. was because she was able to regen fast enough.
Because we did get to see how Reinhardt handled Puck, which was supposed to destroy the world.
Yeah.
And Reinhardt was like, yeah, none of that.
Yeah, and Puck can only die by Reinhardt, essentially, which is fucking crazy. And then I also mentioned the third death, followed by Kitna and him being able to tell her that he was able what he wanted somebody to know all along, and that's that he can return by death. That moment right there,
every time.
Oh my God! When he was able to say that to her, I cried. I cried. It wasn't a Rim or Beatrice cry that time, but it was a Thug tear cry. I was like, fuck, because he was so emotional about it. I can return my death, and I've been doing it over. And it was just so emotional. It was huge. It was a huge moment.
Now, I remember watching that in sub and having a tear on my face.
Mm-hmm.
In dub, though,
gone.
Nah, brother. That was different. I was like, yeah, man. Yep. I was like, I can't imagine. I can't imagine this is the first time you're able to say it. You're able to feel that reprieve, that relief of being able to just say what you have to say without your heart literally being touched and throwing up on the ground or
killing somebody else.
Or killing somebody else. And this is the first time you're able to talk about something. You know, imagine not being able to just share your deepest secret with anybody.
Yeah.
That's wild to just not be able to even say it. You can't even utter it. You know what I mean?
A total of 17 deaths of this entire, for season 1 to season 2. Now, to put that in perspective, though, Tel, you have to calculate the time that passed between each save point and each death, right? So not only does he know these people, and we talked about this during recollection, but he spent more time with these people over and over and over again, for them to forget him over and over and over again, for him to do it all over and over again. Days went by in some save points. So like 4 days here, and I got 3 days to do this. I got 4 days to do that. I got 4 days to do that. So technically, he's been doing this for, you can call it like a month or a couple of months on end, that nobody else realized that time has passed but him. And that alone is mentally terrible.
Yeah.
Mentally awful for him. I think personally that I think a lot of people don't put it in perspective within this show of how egregious it can be to have this skill. And like you said earlier, the skill is all about getting him to love himself. That was essentially the reason for this. And that it captivated me the entire time, the way the story was told. It was brilliant, man. It was brilliant.
He's spending more time in these moments than anyone else. Mm-hmm. It's the same with like Steins Gate, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's that concept of, because he's essentially traveling through time when he's experiencing these deaths. He literally has to experience the death
in different ways, by the way.
In different ways, go through that darkness. He has to experience the people he cares about dying, and then go through that darkness and experience that again. 17 of those deaths has to be excruciating. And then not even just that, it's the mentality of seeing those people you care about, because they talked about it in this season.
Yes,
where he has memories of people that they just don't have.
Yep. And then you got even, or I think you're referring to the moments where he saw what happened after he died, that may or may not exist.
No, yeah, not even that though. Like when he dies, whatever he experienced with those people no longer happen. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's a whole new existence for him. So they don't even remember or recollect what he talked about with them in that specific moment, unless he has that conversation as a second thing, and he doesn't always do that from what we see. Yeah. So yeah, sometimes he just has memories of that just never even happened, and he can't really talk about them. Yep, exactly. Like when he talks about with Beatrice, he talks to her like, "Yeah, I know how you're the kind of person who will sit down and hold hands with someone who's sick." And she's like, "I don't know what you're talking about, I suppose, but you know what I mean?" Yeah. And then on top of that, when he was shown in his second or third trial, all of the times that he died, and this is basically to point out the fact that he needs to love himself. All the times that he died, that would happen after.
what happened to the people he loved or cared about, what they saw or felt or understood. And it was gut punching then too, to see the butler dude, I forget his name already, but the butler dude just like, why would you die so easily? Or Beatrice and Ram after he jumps off and kills himself for that final save, that final point. Man. That they're like, why would he do that? I suppose. And it was just all these moments that happened that may or may not exist in like alternate timelines, which I don't think they do. I just think Echidna was just showing him that to say like, look, there's people that still care about you even when you die. So care more about yourself and take it one step at a time. But all these lessons that were being taught, are the witches really evil? You know,
it's not even close, bro. At least that's not what it feels like. Because this and they say, well,
they are. They are.
And they, yeah, right. And I'm not gonna say they're all evil, but I think, and when I say this is what I think about when I think this, right? Because yes, well, we don't know how we don't really know exactly how these things come to be.
One created my beast, by the way. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, and but I'm thinking that like you think about how the concept of God is, right? You don't, and I'm not saying that these witches are God, but I'm saying you think about that concept, or you think about a bear. Bear isn't evil for eating people. Like the point in, like even when you talk about the Ma beast, right? She was talking about how like if people killed the whale, how much they could eat from that, or how you can have infinite food from killing the rabbits or eating the rabbits, but the rabbits also are in return going to eat as well. I think that like, and I'm not saying, I understand the concept of what you're saying. I do think it is evil. Like it can be objectively considered evil. But I don't think they're human to begin with. So the nature of them is different.
Yeah. So obviously it's all evil. Creating a whale that can barely, that can't be killed unless it's by somebody with a power of return by death that can do trial and error, is ridiculously evil, because without Subaru, they're never killing that fucking whale. Okay, so that's just one thing to eat. Well, then you got the bunnies. The bunnies eat you, so how can you eat them? It's not even possible with the way they are reproducing and et cetera, to even be eaten, because they have to all be taken out at the same time or you will get eaten. So essentially, it was a failure. It was all just experiments, right? Like playing in the toy box of toys that essentially created this never-ending cycle of fucking death that is unavoidable for anybody else but Subaru.
Right. What I'm saying is nature of a beast can't necessarily be evil, that concept.
Sure.
Like I'm not saying that it doesn't seem evil to humanity. I'm saying them is just whatever.
The nature of a beast can be evil, but if it's a mob beast, it sure can. for the fact that it was created to wreak devastation, nothing else but to wreak devastation. Even though she said that the intentions is this,
right?
It was created with mild intent, like definitely mild intent. Which, when you look at it, there was a lesson to be learned there essentially, but it was misguided. And I think Subaru can guide these witches in a way that could essentially not make them completely evil. Like I don't see the complete evilness within Minerva, and her ability to basically heal anything. The way she treated Emilia was fantastic. The way she treated Subaru was fantastic. The little girl,
Pride,
biggest pride, that could just kill anything.
Mm-hmm. Who ripped Subaru's arm off?
Yeah, ripped his arm off, but because he didn't feel pain, that's how you know he's truly not evil. It was a lot of learning, man. That was done here. So essentially, and here's my hope, to go into season 3, which is airing tomorrow by the time you're hearing this. My hope is that all I want is this. I'm happy with the continuation of a conversation, the political stuff, blah, 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 blah. What I want is confirmation that they could say, if you destroy greed, everybody gets their name and memories back. All I need to hear and want in this episode 1. Just give me that information, that tidbit of information to know that we have a chance to bring back Rim. I will be satisfied.
What if in episode 1 we get that even if you kill them, gluttony or
It's
whatever, you don't get that back?
That's not ReZero. Because that's not.
You think?
Yeah, I think ReZero has a set of rules that they follow, and they do a good job of it. Because look, when the whale died, the people that died came back in the memories of the people that were fighting. So essentially, which by the way, it was made by the mob beast was made by gluttony as well. So there you go. When that whale died, those people who got killed by the whale, memories returned, and that's why they held the service for him. It has rules that it follows extremely well. So without a doubt, I said that as a hope to get in the first episode, but I know that that's going to be what it is to get Rem back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, and I mean, I could be wrong, but yeah, I actually think they were not returned, bro. I think that the people who were lost, like the people who were lost and the memories who were eaten or destroyed by the whale were completely gone. Now, I think that gluttony was a follow-up to that.
So I think that's what I think you're referring to. I think you're referring to gluttony taking the other people. I'm talking about the people that fought the whale, because you remember there were two separate parties, right? There were a party that fought the whale, and there was a party that got attacked by gluttony after the whale was destroyed. After the whale was destroyed, and their memories were eaten by gluttony, they obviously they're not back. But the people who fought the whale, they held service for them first. After inside of their mind, their memories came back of them participating in the battle with the whale. You see what I'm saying? So the battle with the whale was separate. They fought it. They killed the whale. Those people who died returned. They held the service for it at the end of that episode. You saw all their bodies lined up, and the towers over them. Then it was the cultists. They did the cultist thing. But while that happened, gluttony came through and fucking murder and took their names and memories again. So, or some of them again, Yeah. The ones that survived, I should say. The ones that survived, they got those as well. So, and I believe it was like 20,000 soldiers that they took during this battle too. So, yeah, it sucks because the ones that survived the whale got their shit taken right after they remembered their friends getting taken. It's just a fucked up situation. It was just fucked up.
The memories came back, but they still were dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. They didn't. It's different between being dead and disappearing and being dead and having your memory, like the fact that remembering that you died or you existed entirely.
Yeah, because their existence got erased, but the memories of them were still there. So they were still just deleted.
Yeah, this time.
Not mentally deleted.
Exactly. Yep, in another way. So it's fucked up. It's a fucked up situation.
Either way.
But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be fun. This whole first section was 1 hour and 22 minutes, by the way.
Beautiful.
So let's wrap up the recount of season 2. I love this. I love ReZero. It's still so good. I cannot wait to see what happens in season 3. I wish it was day and date dubbed. I got a feeling it won't be because I love the dub so fucking much, man. It's just so good. But
I just gotta say, season 1 and season 2 of ReZero are both my first and second favorite anime.
Well, it's just ReZero, so you're okay with just having it.
Nope. Season 1 and season 2, spot 1 and spot 2, they both go there.
That's crazy.
Season 3 might go into spot 3. My top 3 is gonna be ReZero, and ReZero.
ReZero season 2 was our anime of the year that it came out too, by the way. So we're gonna have the anime of the year discussion again. And it's gonna be, this is just that good. It's gonna be really, really hard. Well, no, it can be. Guess what, Tel? It can be anime of the year because the first 8 episodes, the first 8 episodes are this year. The last 8 episodes are next year.
There you go.
So we gotta figure something out. All right,
we got an anime of the year for 2025 already.
Let's get to know my check waifu. It's my turn to roll the random number generator, and it's Tel's turn to read the question. This is part of the show where we get to know us as hosts. I roll the number. Tel reads the question. You ready?
Yeah. Hold up. Almost. Yeah.
55.
Number 55. All right. What is your favorite anime to rewatch?
ReZero. This has been
insane.
This has been the best rewatch of all time, easily. I learned so much shit that I just don't remember or missed, or it was just so much that I enjoyed that it's the best rewatch I've ever done.
Not only is that a crazy number to land on, but yes, 100%. It's been ReZero.
Yeah.
This has been so enjoyable, bro. Yeah. So enjoyable.
Best.
I have nothing else to say. ReZero.
All right, we're gonna take this quick break, and when we come back, we are going to do our Mic Check Waifu official review of Makiene, Too Many Losing Heroines. Spoilers involved in that, so if you haven't finished Makiene, Too Many Losing Heroines, make sure you do that. Are we gonna spoil it? Yeah, we're gonna spoil it. So we'll be right back after Adis. And welcome back to episode 270 of Mic Check Waifu. Make sure you guys follow us on Twitter at Mic Check Waifu and rate, subscribe, and like the YouTube video. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. Now, this is going to be the official review of Makiene or Makiene, however you say it. Too Many Losing Heroines. Those of you who are uninitiated on how our review works, this is how it goes. There are 5 categories that we rate using the 20-point scale. Okay. The 5 categories are animation, sound design, pacing, plot, and characters. Like I said, we rate those using the 20-point scale. So meaning 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 9.5, 3.5, etc., etc., etc. After we rate those 5 categories, we then average the 5 categories of ours together. And then we take that average score of each of the individual hosts. We take that average score and then we average that together to give the official Mic Check Waifu review score number. So again, if you are in our Discord, join the Discord and search review. You should see like a review template thread that gives you, it's in the forums. It gives you the ability to take that thread, make a copy of it, and then do your own review, and it averages it all out for you. It does the work for you. You can read the descriptions on what your review, like what each category means and how you should rate it. And then maybe give us your score of Makiene Too Many Losing Heroes. It's in our Discord. Remember, just type review in our mic check forum, and then you should see the thread pop up. You can then click the link, make a copy, and do a review with us or after you hear our review, and see where you land on Makiene Too Many Losing Heroines or Makiene Too Many Losing Heroines. It still don't even make sense either way. But I digress. Let's get to it. So I want to state this first, and I talked about this in our Discord. I don't know how much of an effect it's going to have on my review because I'm coming in this completely blank. I have no preconceived scores in my head, nothing. I'm just going off of what I think when I read the category. So this is going to be a first for me doing it this way, but I want to see how this goes in my mind, just free flow. Okay. So bear with me, but I do want to say this. The last episode was the absolute worst. That's why I was shocked when you said it was your episode of the week. This episode, and shout out to TCB, who mentioned that for Makiene Too Many Losing Heroines, it was actually this episode 11 is canonically where the light novel ends. Okay, because this is an original piece based off the light novel, and the author wrote this episode as well. So it technically is a main story continuation, even though the light novel ended at episode 11. Okay, so there's no more light novels for Too Many Losing Heroines at the particular moment. This 12th episode was essentially filler. Yeah. But it was still a part of the main story because it was written by the main author, and it canonically pushed the story forward in a sense. So I can't erase this episode. However, it did feel like a filler episode. It didn't feel like it belonged with the rest of the show, and the pacing, it just didn't feel good watching it. I hated this episode. And I'm hoping it doesn't affect my score too much. But like I said, I'm coming in with a completely fresh. Normally, I have preconceived scores as I'm watching the show, but this time I just watched the show, and then now I'm going to formulate and tabulate my scores live, for lack of a better term, to the show. So I just wanted to mention the last episode was awful. So it shocked me when you said it was your episode of the week because it was just bad. It was just a bad episode.
Yeah, I didn't think it was awful, but I mean. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to let you, continue on from there. What you like about it?
I mean, so I like that we overall we got our characters together in the sense of trying to figure out what the next step is. And this to me felt like one of the most it felt like the most typical slice of life continuation that you could have, where we're trying to get this figure out how we're going to break away from the Anna being perceived as single, which I understand. I know that can be stupid or whatever, right? But I like that we got the group together to kind of figure out how we're going to do this thing. Now.
Your mic.
I'm sorry. I know we're getting the group together to figure out how.
It's still doing it. I don't know why you're getting cut off, but I hear your computer now. It's like everything is fucking up.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that, brother. Okay, is it better?
Yeah.
All right. But basically, in this final episode, we get this group date, so to speak, right? Where it's not coming across as they're technically all on a date together, but we're getting this group date and we're getting this experience. And I felt like we were going to get something more that I feel like we talked about. We wanted to get that moment where it felt like the characters were going to see him differently. We did not get that. That was definitely disappointing for me. I can understand that, but I did enjoy the episode in its totality for the most part.
So TCB enjoyed it too. This is what he said though, and this is the point that I agree with him the most. He said if it was just the four of them having fun at the amusement park with the cameos of the other characters within, I think we would have liked it a lot, or he would have liked it a lot more. And that's how I feel. If it was just the cameos, if it was an actual filler episode, even an OVA that was thrown on, it would make sense. But the fact that they included the piece of the Ferris wheel piece that completely ruined what I think encapsulate this show so brilliantly, and that's timing, pacing, and how it's all positioned within the overarching story of these losing heroines, right? It just felt off. It didn't feel right being in that Ferris wheel, and for Anna to do what she did towards the end there to kind of push towards maybe she thinking he likes her type shit, which in essential, he doesn't. Like, he doesn't have those feelings.
It doesn't seem that way, yeah.
At all. But it seemed like she was kind of like forcing that, and it just didn't feel right within the character of these characters that it threw the entire episode off for me. It was a horrible balanced episode that just did not fit what this series encapsulate for literally 11 episodes. For 11 episodes, it was brilliantly paced. The points were A to B to C to D with very nice woven characterization in between each and every episode that this just didn't have, and that's what completely threw off the series for me. However, most of the series, 99% of the series is good, and guess what that means? It's an A, right? Like, it's, if you get a 99%, what is that? It's an A.
That's an A for sure.
So I just wanted to say that to say, like, wow, that last episode was again a to be continued ass episode that just didn't feel like it belonged in the rest of the season. Like, if you're binging this and you're watching it straight through and you watch episode 12, you're like, where the fuck did this OVA come from? That just don't feel like a part of everything that they accomplished at the end of episode 11. It just felt off. But again, I digress. Overall, the show, though, it was pretty. It had about 4 perfect 10 episodes in it, in my opinion. 4 or 5 perfect 10 episodes that were like, if you watched the just one episode from beginning to end, it was perfectly paced, perfectly animated, perfectly plotted, perfectly characterized. It was perfect sound design. It was all of the above within these 4 or 5 episodes that was just unbelievably tense.
And you could pick those episodes out right now in your head.
100%.
So that to me just means how memorable that is, which is amazing, right? When he says 4 episodes, I know exactly what 4 episodes that is.
Yeah, it's a feat. It's very tough to do in the anime sense. It was, all of it was brilliant, man. I just love all of it. Minus that last episode just feeling a little bit off. But however, let's get into the review of things. Now let's start off with animation. So animation is the art styles, visual direction, scenery, overall viewing experience of Makiene Too Many Losing Heroines. Tell.
Actually, for me, this is probably the easiest part to rate. It was one of the most beautiful slice of life I think I've ever watched. Yeah. Even on a movie scale, this was like just different, bro.
Yeah.
This is a 10 for animation for me. It was hard to not think this was beautiful in every moment of it.
Yeah, and again, I'm coming with this completely freestyling, and the first thing that popped in my head was movie. So when you said that, it encapsulated my thought perfectly. It looked like a fucking movie in almost every episode. It was beautiful. It was, I mean, like scenes that are like wallpaper worthy is the term I was looking for.
But characters are even moving in the scenes in the background, you know what I mean? And that's normally only done in movies where background characters are actually moving or alive, you know?
Facts.
So this was beautiful when the characters weren't necessarily alive in the background. It was like that like you said, that wallpaper, that painting feel with the high resolution definition and the brightness and the contrast. It was all there in the artistically, this anime was just different. It was crazy.
It was gorgeous. It was hard to even. It's hard to even find a episode or a moment that didn't look good. You know what it encapsulated so well. Shadows. Mm-hmm. Shadows are so prominent, and I think that makes a huge difference in shows. You know what I think about Dahlia and Bloom. Dahlia and Bloom did a thing with his show that had like these diagonal lines that they would consider a shadow that just didn't move whatsoever. No matter where their position was in the sun or whatever the case may be, it looked awful. But in this, you see like shadow shading on characters and environments. It was like RTX fucking anime and shit. It was gorgeous.
Shadows hitting light or shadows hitting the eyes while the light's also hitting the eyes and cutting through the shadow in the eyes. You know what I mean?
100%.
That's a small detail, but they literally hit it every single time.
Every single time. And that's what brings it up to that movie quality. Sound design. So sound design is the soundtrack, composition, sound effects, and how well it all tied together with the visuals. Yeah. Sonically, I really liked it. And what I mean by that is like when I rate sound design, I rated off voice acting, and I like how the voice acting encapsulated the emotion within me, and seeing transitional moments, because seeing transitional moments are important to me because of Clannad, right? There was a certain song that will play when a scene transitioned in a certain situation in Clannad that where you think about the soundtrack of Clannad. Like, that's just how I look at it. And this particular show, I find myself hearing the music, or hearing the music start with certain moments within the Heroines that honestly captivated me. It was truly sonically beautiful to match its beautiful animation. So the fact that I remember it and I like it enough to think that it was on par with its animation, I believe that the sound design deserves a 9.5. I can't go 10. The reason why I can't go 10 is because I don't want to listen to it, right? And for a soundtrack to get a 10, it has to be 86 levels or summertime rendering levels of sound design. And it's just not there. But the music was so captivating that I'll remember it. And that's enough for a 9.5 for me.
Yeah. So in terms of sound design, I definitely loved it. Now, I go back to what I think about 4 or 5 episodes where the sound was just like immaculate, where I felt like they dove into those monologues and they just really kind of like the talking and the sound positioning, how everything hit you was accurate. And I'm doing this on like a surround sound system, so for me, it felt like it's hitting the walls at the right spot and that kind of stuff. I gave it an 8 out of 10 because I thought it was amazing, but I did not think that it was above and beyond all the time.
Right.
So yeah, I gave it an 8 out of 10.
That's crazy. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. It's your turn. So let me go pacing. Pacing is the episode to episode strength and continuity and how well the story developed and unfolded on the series as the series went on. Sorry.
So from jump, this anime was great. From moment one all the way to the end, for the most part, to me. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Wait, great pacing wise?
Yeah, for me, the pacing wise, in terms of how they organized this all the way up until like you said, we got to this very last episode. I thought it was great. Now, I do agree that this episode was a disjointed in comparison to what the rest of this was.
Especially after that ending.
I gave it a 9.5 out of 10 because this last episode was the only thing that did not feel like just the same consistency. Like, it didn't hit the same. I'm thinking about like from the beginning of like the introduction to the trip where we got I'm just thinking about all of these different scenarios and how it was consistent. Like, we're going from point to point, and it didn't feel like it was disjointed at any point for any of this, all the way until the literature festival thing and everything was like on point the whole way through. And then we get to this last point, and it didn't feel, I'm not gonna, like I said, to me it felt like a solid, like, okay, we got through all the hardship and things are okay now, and we can kind of move on to the next point. But it was still just not with the same heat that we got for every other episode. So I gave it 9.5 out of 10.
See, I never understand your rating style. And now this, obviously we're not the same person, so I can't duh. But everything that you mentioned to me is plot. Like, everything was story wise, I think is what you're referring to, right? And the last episode where it just didn't feel right. Or was it like? I mean, like the movement of it, right? Like how I'm saying, like how it's moving is the consistency. I see.
So for me, it's like from jumping from episode to episode, every episode felt like it was on point to me. Like, it made sense cognitively. If you're watching this and you're like, if I was binging this, I'm like, damn, this is great. Not binging this, I'm watching, I'm like, damn, this makes sense. This is great. And then like I said, you get to that last episode and it's like, it's good. But it definitely still disjointed, you know what I mean? So that's why I'm saying it's a 9.5 out of 10. For me, there was no drops in the pacing until you get to the very end.
Okay, I see. Yeah, so when I think of pacing, right, I think of how it starts, how an episode starts, what happens in the middle, and how it ends. Pacing all the way up into that point was perfect to me. 10 out of 10. It was perfectly paced from the start of an episode. Each episode, the start of an episode, it always had a start, a climax, and an end, right? Where it just was beautifully done. And it even so with episode 12 as disjointed as you call it, because I think that's a good term for it. But I consider that to be the plot was disjointed. It just didn't feel a part of what everything else was plot wise, or as the story was being told. It didn't feel a part of that plot whatsoever. So for me, the pacing is still a 10. I still think the pacing was absolutely perfect. Again, and to slide to plot, the plot was the overall story and how well it was written and how the story resonated with us as the viewer. The story was, dude, I wish we were still using the 100-point scale like we used to back in the day, because this would be so easy to give plot a 9.8. But spoilers, I'm gonna give it a 9.5 because of that last episode. That last episode fucked me up, man. It was such a to be continued disappointment, forced kind of situation that it did not match what the show is in its entirety. It did not match at all. The story felt so obtuse. Because and TCB mentioned it, he was like, I like how they went back to the mention of her needing to fake having a boyfriend. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but that's not what the show is about. The show is about the characters, the heroines growing, and this was not growth whatsoever. This was some weird juxtaposition, continuation of a side thing that happened that it seems like the author wanted to expand on and didn't do a good job in it. But however, the fact that he added, if it wasn't for that Ferris wheel scene, if it was just them all having fun together to kind of like just reminisce on what happened in their past and how they are trying to enjoy themselves, like just to get over all of that, it would have been cool. But this whole fake boyfriend thing, it didn't feel right. The whole Ferris, and then when we hit the Ferris wheel, it's all like, yeah, but are you trying to say this? Are you trying, like, it was implications of things that just didn't fit what our main character, Kazuhiko, is about. Like, he's like, what are you talk? Like, there's nothing about this is romantic. Like, I'm not even feeling nothing. And it just felt like she was trying to insinuate that, or what the author was trying to insinuate that, or force that upon us seeing that, oh, maybe she like him. Oh, and it's happened to be one of the worst characters in the show with Anna. She's not a bad character, but she's just not my favorite, obviously. But it didn't feel right. So with that, again, if I was able to use a 100-point scale, this would be probably a 9.8. But we don't use the 100-point scale. We use a 20-point scale, so it's gotta be a 9.5. Maybe, nope, you know what? A 9. Fuck it. I'm gonna go a solid 9 there. No, I'm gonna go a 9.5 because the rest of it was so perfect. Like episode 1 through 11 was brilliant. It was perfect. Or 1 through 12? 1 through 12 was perfect. So 9.5.
So here's the issues. I had my points laid out before this podcast started. And I hate that I feel like you're making solid points here. Because initially I'm giving the plot a 10. And I don't actually, like I said, I enjoyed the final episode.
Right.
And while I do think that pacing wise it was disjointed, I don't see this as out of character for Anna. Now that's character though, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking like characters are making the plot of the show, and I'm thinking that, and I'm just like, I don't see this as outside of the realm of what this show should be doing. I feel like I can't give it a 9.5 because if anything, it's like I'm giving like a 9.8. You know what I mean? Like you said before. I feel like it's closer to a 10 than it is a 9.5.
So you're gonna round up?
It's hard to say a 9.5. I understand. Yeah. It's so hard to say that because it's like you're making good points.
That last episode literally dropped it for me. That's it.
It's crazy good, like in terms of the whole plot of the show. And watching the development of these characters within this plot, how things happen, the the interactions that happen amongst the plot, and like I'm thinking about when they go visit Lemon, and just all of that, bro. It's a lot of this is too good.
The story is of heartbreak and recovery or how you recover from heartbreak.
Right, and it's amazingly good. I'm gonna stick to my 10, but I do see where Polow is at. I see where you at, bro. That 9.5 is valid. So, but it's like I see it. Ugh.
All right. So guess what? You get to start off with characters. Relatability, overall development, the growth of the characters, and how memorable they were. Side and main.
I love all these characters. Probably arguably some more than Polow. I think characters are easily the main contributing factor outside of the plot, because like I said, the plot is crazy good in my opinion. It's like, I almost feel like with a plot like this, you could have weaker characters and this would still be like crazy good. Like just with that plot alone and how well they executed it on. This plot almost just made the characters digestible, even if they weren't. I love these characters, but I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. I'm a Kamari fan here.
Yes, Kamari main.
I do love Lemon as well. And I gave it a 9.5 strictly because of Anna. And I like her. I do like her, but she is easily the most annoying, and she has been since the beginning. But she grew on me in the sense of like she was a necessary component to how these characters move with her personality type. Could she have been a better component? 100%.
Yeah.
But it wasn't bad enough to warrant anything lower than 9.5.
Yeah. You know what? This show, the characters, and this is about to sound so weird, what I'm about to say, because this is technically about to be my lowest score. But I think the characters are my favorite part of the show, because what it induces, the individuality of each personality of each character so well, so extremely well. I love it. I love it too much, the characters. However, Anna is literally, when she was on the screen, I rolled my eyes. Every single time after episode 1. After episode 1, from there on out, every time she showed up, I rolled my eyes, because everybody else is so brilliantly done. I love them so much. Love them to death. Anna dragged the show down in a sense of like, it wasn't bad, right? But she was my least favorite character. She was the character I just did not enjoy seeing, or our main character even getting close to. She was a nuisance. That's the perfect term. And I don't think it was intentional. I don't think her being a nuisance was that intentional. I think she was supposed to be this cutesy, lovable, in the cutesy, lovable Japanese way, where that culture may like that. Here, it's kind of like, it's just annoying. Yeah. So for me, the characters get a 9. While it's technically my lowest score, it's not too low, but I feel like it could have been better. It could have, and Anna was, because she was so much of the show, she kind of weighed it down a lot. Kamari was incredible. Her story, her struggle, her recovery. Lemon, her story, her struggle, her recovery was brilliant. Even Ano, who was Lemon's crush, and the president, which I don't even know if he even got a name, but the president, the way that story played out was brilliant, and those two characters were lovable and likable. Kazuhiko's sister, Kazuhiko himself was great. Like, all of those characters were fantastic, but we got so much Lemon, and she was just either taking money from our main character or eating or saying some dumb shit. And just,
not Lemon, Anna.
Sorry. Anna, who's just taking money from our character, eating, doing some dumb shit that just didn't gel with whatever else was going on. It's just, she felt out of place. And again, like, it's a 9, but it's still a 9. So, with that being said, let's take the time to go over what we got. I got you. So, animation. We both gave it a 10. Sound design. I gave it a 9.5. Tel gave it an 8. Pacing. I gave it a 10. Tel gave it a 9.5. Plot. I gave it a 9.5. Tel gave it a 10. We reversed there. Characters, I gave it a 9. Tell gave it a 9.5. Tell, what do you think your average was?
I'm gonna say 9.6.
Your average was a 9.4. My average was a 9.6. What do you think that means our total score to?
9.5.
Easy as simple as that. The review for Makeine Too Many Losing Heroines is a whopping 9.5, which places it above My Teen Romantic Comedy Snafu. Wow. But that was when we was using a 100-point scale for My Teen Romantic Comedy Snafu. But it was, I'm blown back. Makiene, I don't know how to spell it. I'm gonna just put Too Many Losing Heroines.
My Teen Romantic Comedy Snafu. Sheesh.
It's not better than that. But objectively, the score wise, because Too Many Losing Heroines just had movie quality animation, I think is what kind of set that over the edge. All right.
Yeah.
So look at the things we've reviewed. This list is getting kind of long, but stick with me. We're going to start from the bottom because I like starting from the bottom. Hall of Shame, which is our first negative review, which was fun to do. It was a fun little experiment we did way at the beginning of the podcast, was for Demon Lord Retry. Ironically, Demon Lord Retry R is the second season of that, but this was one that we decided to give a negative review to. And the negative review is negative 7.5, which is high as fuck when you really think about it in the negative terms. Demon Lord Retry was that terrible, so that's why we decided to put that in the Hall of Shame. It's going to forever be there. All right, number 36, 91 Days at a 6.4. I hate 91 Days. This is a terrible show. 35, unironically, 35 is Alderman on the Sky at a 6.8. It isn't as terrible as 91 Days or even as terrible as Banana Fish. It's actually a good show. It's just a lot of the things in that show is rated low. I digress. Let me stop explaining and read them all. 34, Banana Fish, 7.3. 33, Love Flop, 7.45. 32, Suzume, the movie, 7.75. Number 31, Dr. Stone Season 1 specifically, 7.8. Number 30, Tokyo Revenger, 7.85. 29, My Hero Season 4, 7.9, which is really high in my opinion. 28, Gangsta, 7.95. 27, Chivalry of a Failed Knight, way better than this score gives it, but 7.95 for Chivalry of a Failed Knight. 26, Bungo Stray Dogs, 8.4. 25, the cartoon Invincible, 8.45. 24, Link Click Season 1, 8.45. Darwin's Game, 8.5. Made in Abyss, 8.5. That was a co-op review with Blaname Podcast. 21, Demon Slayer, the Entertainment District arc, 8.5. Demon Slayer, Swordsmith Village arc, 8.65. Number 19, Vox Machina, 8.6. I forgot the other two seasons are out now. Steins Gate at number 18 at an 8.65. Number 17, Aka 13, 8.7. Erased, 8.75. Beastars, 8.85. Demon Slayer, 8.8, which is season 1. 13, Bottom Tier Character Season 2, 8.95. I'm glad that's up there. That's pretty good. Number 12, Windbreaker at 9.2. Interesting. Number 11, Arcane at a 9.2. Vinland Saga at number 10 with 9.25. That's season 1 of Vinland Saga. Number 9, Grimgar, A Fantasy Nash, 9.3. Number 8, Fire Force. Can't wait to season 3. 9.35. Number 7, My Teen Romantic Comedy Snafu, 9.45. Number 6 is Where Too Many Losing Heroines Fall at a 9.5. Number 5 is A Place Further in the Universe, 9.7, deservingly so. It was a great show. Number 4, JJK Season 1, 9.8. Number 3, Clannad, 9.8. Number 2, Astra, Lost in Space. Number 10 is a 10, sorry. And number 1, Summertime Rendering is a perfect score, 10.
That's a fact.
That's a fact. I'm blown back.
Why?
I'm only blown back because when you look back at our other scores, right? And I see stuff like Beastars or...
Oh, brother.
I think our top 12 is right. No, top 13 is right. Yeah, I think our top 14? Top 14 is right. Everything else is off.
Here's the thing.
In my opinion.
And I think that as time progresses, it's easy to look at the reviews and say, okay, we can adjust some things here. Scales change, expectations change.
Understanding,
understanding changes. I think that reasonably so, yes, we could say that. But there's also the concept that some things are just too damn good. And like you said, if the top 13 or 12 are just too damn good to like change that order, that could be a definitive thing for us. The rest of them may need to be like,
But this is what makes our scale so special, right? Because there's 5 categories getting averaged out. So if one thing is carrying something, then how is it?
Yeah.
Objectively, like if the animation is, I guess it's still subjective in the end, but objectively, if you can't deny the animation of Demon Slayer, then what's the score if you give Demon Slayer the animation of Clannad? Because I'm sure Clannad was the reason why they got a 9.8. The animation of Clannad is why I got a 9.8 out of 10. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because there wasn't much there with the animation. So the thing, I don't know. It's a wonderful review scale. I think it's just brilliant what we got going on here.
It does indeed come in clutch with keeping things fair, so to speak. Well, because just because we love something, doesn't mean that it's a 10. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And some things we love may just be a 10, and we might actually watch something and I guess it'd be hard to hate something 10 out of 10, but we may very well watch something that is objectively good while we're just like, whatever.
Alderman on the Sky. We enjoyed it. It's a 6.8 on our scale, but we enjoyed it.
Right.
We hated Banana Fish. It's a 7.3.
Ugh.
You know what I mean? Like it's the scale is great. The scale works, I think, in the way that listen, guys, remember, go to the forums, look at the review scale. Tell us if you think anything should change. Give us your opinion of it. Like, we don't care about feedback. You can say you hate it. You can say you love it. You can say this should change. This should change. Just let us know. We won't be offended. Trust us. So, with that being said, I'm at Polow Bornfly on all social media.
I'm at King Telliano on all social media.
You can follow our social medias at Mike Check Waifu on Twitter and at Mike Check Waifu on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. And as always, Mike Check. 35 minutes.
That's crazy.
You're now tuned into Mike Check Waifu.